Hello. Uh, this week, well, it's another day and another army. You might remember these from quite a few videos ago now. They've been sat waiting. A seemingly endless line of figures at the minute waiting. But this is my American army. So in an effort to try and knock down some of my ever-growing mountain of men waiting to be painted, I'm going to crack on with these this week and try and get one of the biggest forces ready, because let me just give you a glimpse. I've got these as well. Remember them? I made the little Rangers, a couple of squads. So I've got them to paint as well, but that's for another day. Then I've got lots of individual figures, but I'm not so bothered about them. I just want to knock down some of these armies now, because they've been sat around for a while. So I'm going to start with these this morning, and the first thing I'm going to be doing is painting all of their jackets. And as you know, the majority of my paints are army painter, although there's a lot more Vallejo in here now than there used to be. Yeah, combat fatigues is what I'm going for the jackets. So let me crack on and get them done. I'll bring you back and let you have a look at them, and then we'll move on to the next. Right, back in a minute. Right, so I've gone through all of these now, and I've just, I've pasted the jacket on in the combat fatigues, but I've not really, I've been reasonable, but I've not stayed within the lines or anything else. I've kept it a fairly thin coating anyway, and just to get it on quickly for this, because it's when we get down to the intricate colours that I'm going to take my time a little bit more. So the next thing I'm going to jump to now is the trousers, and I'm going to be using Army Painter Venom Worm on those. So, right. I keep saying I've cracked through. Took me quite a bit of time yesterday, this did, so... Right, I'll bring you back in a minute. Right, so I've painted all the tops, and now I've painted all of the trousers. So now it's time to do the gaiters, the backpacks, straps, things like that. And for that I'm going to be using hemp rope. This one's going to take quite a bit longer to go through, because obviously there's so many parts, but the beauty of it is when I do get through it, you're kind of halfway there. So right, let me crack on with them, and then I'll bring them back and show them you afterwards. Wow, now that was quite some long painting session there, because as you can see, there's quite a few bits that I've gone with the hemp rope on. There's the knife, pocket, water jug, the backpack, all the belts and strapping. Whether you can see that. Belts and strapping on it. The rifle strap. So going through them all with that took quite some time. But, I mean, the good thing about it is, at least you're painting one consistent colour on these. You can get away with that, because the wash is going to do the job mainly on these for me. But the next stage I'm going to go to now is the boots, and I'm going to be going again Army Painter. In fact, I think it's probably Army Painter all the way through on these, and I'm going to use Dirt Spatter, and I'm going to use the same brown because it's close enough for the boots and any rifle stocks or woodwork. I shall also use that on. So this is probably going to be not as long, but it's going to take me a while to get through it, I know. So that'll be the next stage. So that's how they're looking at the moment. And now I'm going to crack on, like I say, with the boots and rifle stocks. And I'm imagining this is going to be quite another long pass, really. It's the thing with these army paints, they are a bit thick. And when you're initially doing them, they do take some shaking. I might even get the electronic shaker out on these, because I don't know whether I've used this colour before. So, right, I'll bring you back when I've got through them. Well, that was a marathon. Getting through all of them and painting up the rifles and the boots and the knife handles. I have gone a little bit further on some of these units now, because I thought it'd make it easier if I did some of the big weapons. Let me put the light on that a bit. Picked out, you know, like the machine guns and the bazookas and things, and paint them up now, because they're not going to be in a, you know, on every figure. So I thought some of the individual bits I'd pick out. So I've also gone with the ammunition belt as well on that one, and some of the cases and things that appear on some of the models. But largely it's just been the, you know, the brown for the machine gun butts and the rifles and the boots and the knives and things like that I've painted up this time round, and then touched up any other little bits that I spotted that were out of place as well, which was useful. I do that in each pass now, so slowly but surely you're hoping that you pick up all the mistakes that you've made. I think the next thing I might go with, probably because it's going to take the longest, is I'm going to paint up all the machine guns, and I'm going to be using Necromancer Cloak, because I'll highlight it later on. I mean, I do it in a variety of ways. Sometimes I use an HB pencil. I've got one here, look. Because you've got just the right kind of thickness on there to leave that metallic look. I have done it with, you know, silver paint and things as well, but I won't be doing that this time. I think I'll go with the HB pencil. But yeah, I'm going to use the Necromancer Cloak to finish off the rifles and the machine guns. And I think, is that all that's on there? That's that. Yeah, I'm going to get all the machine guns and the rifles finished. Oh, and if you have a look on the back here, let me put that down and bring that up. Can you see there's a tiny bit of the spade showing there? So while I've got this Necromancer Cloak out, I should touch that bit of the spade up as well. On all of those that are carrying one. Trenching tool would be better sound. It would sound better, wouldn't it? But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's going to be quite some sweep as well, unfortunately. But if I can get that done, the next thing will be the helmets. And when I'm doing the helmets, I must remember to pick out the grenades as well on those that have got grenades. Well, we're getting there. That's the main thing. It's a long old job, especially when there's this many men at once. But it'll teach me not to get so many armies up front in future. Right, I'll bring you back when I've got those done. Right, so I've managed to finish all the guns now. And as I said, I painted the... whether you can pick it out from there. The little black area of the spade, or tucked into the kit. And then what I've done is I've used old wood by Vallejo for the handles of all the spades as well. And then, as I did before, you know, I've used it as another opportunity to sweep through and pick out, you know, any little mistakes that I'd made or any little overruns. So each time they're going a little bit tidier. Well, that's the plan anyway. Now that I've done that, I think the next thing I'm going to go for is all the helmets and any grenades that are being held or carried, because I'm going to be picking them out. Let's have a look. I think I'm going to go with Cultist Robe. Have a look. I did write down what I thought I'd use. Yeah, Cultist Robe by Army Painter. So so the next run, as I say, is going to be all the helmets, and any grenades. And just before I move on, apologies to everyone where I keep using the word spade. I know it's an entrenching tool, but hey, I'm getting old. I keep forgetting stuff. So, entrenching tool, not spade. Right, okay then, I'll bring you back when I've done the helmets and the grenades. Back in a minute. Right, so as you can see, all the helmets are done now. I had to go back through them with a second sweep to pick out all the leather straps on the helmets. Some with them on the front and the back. So that's took me quite a bit longer than I were anticipating. But that leaves a couple of block colours left to do. I'm going to be doing their faces and hands, and I'm going to be using Cobalt Skin by Army Painter. But then the other thing that I'll need to do when they're dry is go through with a highlight on the skin, and I'll probably go with Corpse Pale by Army Painter for that. But obviously that's a little way down the line. But I'm going to do them before I go on to do the skin wash, and then I should do all the washes on the uniform. But first of all, I've got to get all the hands and the faces done in this cobalt. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. So, but at least when I bring them back, they'll be starting to look more like the finished thing, even though they're not quite finished. Right, I'll see you in a bit. Right, so as you can see, I've gone through now and I've painted all the hands and faces, and ooh, that was a test of my eyesight, I can tell you. I'm sure I'm starting to struggle a lot more now, but hey, I've got there eventually. And I've also, been touching up any other little bits that I've found that I'd missed, I'm pretty confident now that they're all covered, so it's time to apply the first wash. And the wash that I'm going to be going with is Army Painter Strong Tone, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to apply this over the entire thing, with the exception of the skin, so the face and the hands, and the weapons. But what I'm going to do, I think you've seen me do it before, is I'm going to mix it 50-50 with the Army Painter Quick Shade Wash Mixing Medium, because I don't want it too strong. I don't want it to take the colours down too much. I shall apply it. If it looks a bit too light, then I'll just give it another quick touch, but I just don't want it to go too dark. So I'm going to mix that up, and then I'll get them done, and then I'll bring them back and show you what they look like then. Right, so I've actually completed the strong wash on all the body parts, and I also skipped ahead and used the flesh wash on the faces and the hands. So the final wash is going to be all the black parts of the weapons, and then that'll be it for the washes then, and it's just a question of any highlights that I want to apply, but I'll talk about them later. But you can see that they're coming along now. It's been a long old process, but they're getting nearer to being table worthy, so I'll crack on with this one. And then, as I say, I might do a little bit of dry brushing type highlights to them and keep it fairly simple. I don't know whether I'm going to go through all the individual creases and things and highlight that. I don't think I really need it, but I'll see. There might be the odd one that I'll need to do that too. Right, I'll crack on, get this strong tone wash done. No, not strong tone, is it? It's dark tone I'm going to be using for the guns. I'll get that done, and then we can have a look about the highlighting. Right, back in a minute. Right, so I'm doing a quick highlighting job, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently dry brush it just to catch the edges. And whether you can see that starting to show up. You can see it on there, can't you? Just catching the edges. Right, now that I've finished all the highlights, I've done most of these, but I just wanted to show you. I'm using an HB pencil, and I use that to give the gun a metallic highlight. You can see if I can close in a bit more. Can you see that? You can see it now, look. You see the metallic bits where the bolt is and the nozzle of the gun. You can just see the bits now, look. You can see how it's picked out the nozzle of the gun. And all I do is just run it sideways on top of the gun to get that effect. I mean, you can do it with paint, but this works quite well as well. So I just thought I'd show you that before I close this one up. Right, so that's the painting process done now. All that remains is to start getting these based up. It's been a long old job. It's not really helped by my eyesight. I'm struggling a bit now with some of these smaller details, but you know, I've took my time with it, and you know, finally I've got there, so it's certainly worth the effort. I'm so pleased to get this force done, because I think it is. I think what's made it even harder is the fact that it is such a big force. You know, so it's a good one to knock off the list. Right. Let me get set up for the basing process and then I'll bring you back. Right, so it's time to base up my Americans, and what I want to go for with this one is I've mixed up my own base ready, if you like, and I've used some little beach type stones that I've gathered off the beach, and then some ordinary foam scatter, but the very fine stuff, and then just a little tiny sprinkle of 2mm static grass in there as well, just to break it up. And all I'm going to do is exactly the same as I've always done, is take one of the soldiers, spread the glue around the base, obviously trying to keep as much as I can off the boots and the figure. Although you can always brush it off when it's dry if you do catch it. And then when I've done that, just dip it in the mix, shake it around a bit. Like I say, any that's caught on the figure that I don't want, I can brush off. Smooth it round the edges, and that's him done. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack through the rest of these now, and then I'll bring you back. Right, so they're all based, they've all been sealed. Now comes the tricky bit, putting on the transfers. And this is where you really need a sharp craft knife, because you don't want to be dragging these. They're fairly awkward as it is, but you don't want to be, you know, dragging the transfers and ruining them before you can cut them to shape. Let me adjust the angle and I'll bring you down and show you where I'm at with this. Right, so as you can see, I've cut all of the little American flags now. Now, the American infantry come with two transfers, and you get two sets. One for the 29th infantry and one for the big red one. Well, I've decided I'm not going to bother putting that transfer on, purely because I don't always want, you know, to tie my men down to one particular squad. So I've just made the decision, I just want them to be neutral so I can use them for whatever I want to use them. But I am nevertheless going to put the flag on the one side, because there's no reason for that to not be there. So all I've got to do now is transfer all these to the water. That's the last one. Just check that there's none on your fingers. I'm going to tear a little bit of dabbing cloth because I might need that in a minute. And what I use, you might have seen me do it before, is I've got my green stuff like silicon ended thing. I find that very easier to manipulate the actual transfer around when I've got it on the arm. And it does manage to grip it quite well. And then the other beauty of it is it doesn't tear it. But then to lift it in place, I just use a small brush, and then I can pick out the individual one and bring it over to the arm and then move it round on this. So I'll just give that a few more minutes and then we'll get cracking. Right, so that's had long enough now, so we'll pick up the first man. I hope you can see this. And then I get the brush and use that to place it on to the arm. And then my silicon tip tool, I slip it onto the arm with. Take away the waste bit. There we go. You see that? And that's it. That's the first one done. I'll do one more on camera, and then I'll crack on and get through them all, because you know it still is a fiddly job. But I've found this is the best way for me. You know, I've had a lot more. It's gone a lot better for me since I've been using these two tools together, the brush and the silicon tip. And there you go. That's the second one done. Right, I'll crack on and get the rest done, and then I'll bring you back. Right, so they're all based. They've all had their decals fitted, and I've given them 2 coats of matte varnish. So these Americans, after 4 months, are finally ready for the battle table. And there's a fairly good selection here. I've not kind of fitted it to any particular layout at the minute. Obviously this is just what I'd select from. I've got an engineer squad there, as you probably remember from when I built them. But there's any number of combinations, and obviously there's vehicles as well that I could bring into this. Now that we've got version 3, that's something I'm going to have to think about, is, you know, exactly what I'm going to build the army up as. So, but yeah, I'm very pleased to have finally got these done as well. They've been a long while waiting to be finished off. What I'll do is I'll take some pictures and we'll finish the video with some close-ups. I can't tell you how glad I am that I've managed to get these done. They've been waiting about 4 months now, so I'm really pleased. I hope you found something useful in the video, and it's given you some ideas for how to paint your American infantry. I'm not the best painter in the world, but as I've said before, you know, don't bother about that. Just do the best you can, and you will improve over time. And the main thing is, if you're satisfied, that's all that counts. Anyway, If you have liked it, please consider giving me a thumbs up, or even subscribing for when the next video drops. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.